When you see a man cry, he's angry. He's not sad. A man that cries sad is if someone in his family dies. Other than someone dying, men cry angry. When you see a man cry, he's angry on the inside.
Awe Genge, this is Mental Mythos, hosted by Asago Toto.
And I love the fact that we are having a conversation that when it's Men's Mental Health Month, Awareness Month, and I feel like this conversation that we are about to have, it's very important, and definitely hopefully the audience will be able to get something positive and being able to relate with in terms of actually the things that I really want to dive deeply is bullying, developing self-esteem, and building those healthy boundaries. So through your story, probably this conversation will be very, very interesting and very helpful for people out there. So again, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Your story, it's a story that as I was researching in terms of what kind of conversation that I'm looking into in terms of this. You mentioned that you were feeling, say, unsafe in Brazil due to your father's wealth. It's something that sometimes the success of our parents can affect us in a way that we couldn't hope it would. And you moved to the US, to all the countries out there. Why did you move to US specifically?
Well, the reason is because my background is German. I'm actually German. So my half of my family, when they left Germany, running away from Hitler at the time, half of them came to America, and then half went to Brazil. I think there was like one of them went to Argentina, but for the most part, it was half and half. And eventually everybody went from Brazil back to the United States. By the time I was like 5 years old, everybody was in the United States. My mom had married my dad. She was the only one left pretty much in Brazil. And my dad, the funny thing is my dad's brother actually also had come to the United States when he was really young. And then and he was doing very well. He still is. He became a millionaire. He was doing very well in construction. And then my dad was like, you know what? My mom kept bugging him to come here. We ended up coming here. So it was just one of those things. The whole family was here. She made the decision.
Having so many failed attempts of being kidnapped, in a way, as a child, sometimes we are not aware of how it is mentally within ourselves. So would you say that when you were a child having those failed kidnapping attempts, how did you feel in terms of mentally? Would you say that you recognized that at that certain age?
Well, at that time, to me, it was just like another day in the office. I didn't really process it as if it was today. My dad was a very powerful man, both physically and financially. And so I didn't think it was a real possibility that it would actually happen and then it would get away with it. It didn't cross my mind. Also, I came from a place that was very rough, very dangerous. I mean, very, very dangerous place. So to me, danger and death was everywhere. It was everywhere around us. It kind of stayed outside my house, but it was everywhere. All you had to do was walk out on the street, and it wasn't rare to see someone dead. It wasn't rare to see people fighting, people cut up. So that was a normal thing. Anything you live through all the time becomes normal. If every day you sit around someone that, smokes crack, eventually you think that's normal. You may not smoke it, but you're like,
definitely.
Oh, that's just crack they're smoking. It becomes normal, which is important to note that men's mental health would fall into that category too. If you're around some sad people all the time and people that are doing bad, you surround yourself with that, and you're already in that bad mindset, you're going to go down the hill. That's why it's important to hang around people that are healthy and happy and people that can get you out of that downtime, like when you're feeling down, that sadness,
Yeah. And true, as you mentioned that you were in an environment where people it was a very tough place. My my question, I just want to dive deep into this conversation. I just had an interview whereas I had a guest from UK and we spoke about definitely mental health within different perspectives. As someone who is in South Africa, and there's this around stigma around mental health per se of men don't cry, men don't talk about their feelings. Would you say that in a way that when you, as you've said, that your father is the strong man, both physically and financially, would you say that in terms of, let me rephrase my question firstly, were you able to tell your father that were the memories in terms of the effects of those trauma, of those failed attempts, kidnapping attempts, were they affecting your mental well-being? Did they come back?
No. I was too young to realize the gravity of the problem at the time. I was just too young to really know what the consequences would have been had they been successful. At the end of the day, the kidnapping was more to get back at my father. And make no mistake about it, this is the first time I'm going to say this publicly. It was the law enforcement. It was crooked police. It wasn't anybody. It wasn't these bad guys, mafia. It was the police, and that makes it scary. Do you know what I'm saying? It was crooked cops that was trying to do it, which now I know. At the time I didn't know, but now I do. And it's one of those things. The whole thing was directed to get back at my father, and I was too young, to know those details and to know the consequences that would have brought me. Certainly, I wouldn't be here right now had they succeeded. I know that, but at the same time, those things didn't affect me as much as they should have. It's a cool story now if you know how to tell it. Do you know what I mean? It's a cool thing now. It wasn't going to be so cool at the time. It's cool now to say that. But yeah, I was just too young. I was just too young at the time.
And I feel like in a way of, as much as these things to one might be traumatic in a way, but in terms, when you grow up in an environment that is very tough, environment that is not in a way feeding you, is spoon feeding you in a way, you realize in a way it doesn't affect you as much as you thought that it would affect you. And I just want to talk about building resilience. And you mentioned overcoming bullying. So in terms of how you overcame bullying to become an MMA fighter, can you share how you developed such resilience at a young age? What coping mechanism did you use with negativity?
Right. So that's it's going to be tough for some people to do. So how I did it is when the bullying was directed at me, it wasn't so bad. Like I was bullied a lot, but when it was directed at me, I could take it and just kind of cry by myself or whatever, move on. When the bullying went down to my little brother is when things changed. That was the first time I said, well, I'm going to hurt someone now. To where in the past, and it was never a problem about fighting. What people don't understand, bullying, kids don't get bullied because they can't fight back or they don't have the balls to fight back. That's not why bullying happens. Bullying happens because the kid avoids confrontation. People don't pick on the weakest physically. They pick on the weakest mentally. So it's your mindset. You get picked on because you're weak mentally, because you see a lot of big kids getting bullied by little kids all the time because mentally he's weaker. So bullying is not a physical thing. It's more of a mental thing. When they were bullying me, it didn't affect me as much. Once they started bullying my little brother, I went into protection mode. And I was like, nah, you guys are not going to do this. See, my little brother had cancer and when he was young, and the whole thing started, I don't know why they got this nickname, but they started calling him SpongeBob. And I don't remember why. It's stupid because he didn't look like SpongeBob. But I remember the first time someone called him SpongeBob and he didn't like it. And I saw him cry. And I immediately was like, well, I'm going to take care of this now. And the kids were much bigger than me. And obviously I got beat up real bad. And this is a crazy story, but I went home. We lived in a farm. We went home on the mini bus. I grabbed the horse. I saddled the horse, and I rode the horse back to town, back to the kids, the kids that owned the bar. I rode back to that bar, and I got the whip. I had a whip, to whip a horse. And I rode right past him. I started whipping him, and as he tried to run away, I ran after him with the horse, and I was just whipping him, and he was yelling. And I remember the kid's name to this day. The kid's name will never escape my mind. And I can replay that image in my head, and I knew, I was like, you can play with me all you want, but you will never bully my little brother. You know, it's my duty to protect my little brother, just like
Definitely.
protect my son. So that changed. And that happened. That was in Brazil. Now, once we moved to America, we had the same issue. And I don't remember why. I think I might have told my friend that my little brother had been called SpongeBob and was bullied. And he then started doing it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And once he called him once inside of the school bus, I went to say something. There was 5 kids. I was in the 9th grade, and they were in the 12th grade. So I was a freshman. They were seniors, much bigger. And they stopped me in the bus. They pretty much hit me. I fell on the bus and on the floor of the bus, and they started stepping all over my head and kicking me. And the bus driver kicked everyone out, all of us out from the bus. And I was 13 maybe at the time, maybe 14. I don't remember, maybe 15, I don't know. And when we got off the bus, I knew something that they didn't know. What I knew is I knew how to wrestle, I knew how to punch and kick, I knew how to choke, I knew Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I was already training to be an MMA fighter. So when we got kicked off the bus, I knew the information. I knew it was about to be on, and I knew they wasn't going to be able to protect themselves where I had space to fight. And that was really the first time that I really hurt someone, was that day. That day I really hurt, you know, there was 5 kids and I hurt 3 of them pretty bad. And that was the last time someone ever bullied my little brother too. And the word got back to the school that I knew no one knew MMA at the time. So they said I knew Kung Fu and I was like Bruce Lee. So it became a joke around the school. Nobody knew MMA at the time. This is 2004. You know, the UFC wasn't big yet, you know?
In terms of on the conversation still on being an MMA fighter, as much as it weaponized you in terms of protecting yourself and protecting you, did it have any mental benefit in a way, being an MMA fighter?
100%. What you gain mentally is the important thing. The physical, physical shape. I know people can sell these fitness, you know, programs and talk about. All you need to do is go to a gym, pick up a heavy weight and drop it. Pick it up and drop it 10 times, 3 different ways, 4 times a week, and you'll become physically strong. Doesn't matter how you do it. If you pick up a heavy weight every day, you're going to develop strength, right? If you go out and you run 2 miles a day, you're going to develop cardio. So physically, it's super easy to be in shape, but mentally, it's extremely hard. And you can build resiliency, you know, mentally, or you can have it naturally in exercises. See, it's one thing when you're tired and someone is trying to punch you in the face in the gym, and you have to protect yourself, and your body's done, your body's shut down. But your mind keeps telling your body, you got to go, you got to go. It's the same as if you run a marathon. You're tired. You try to run a marathon and you're tired. Your body's shutting down. That's when your mind kicks in. So anything that you do that gets hard on your body, your mind has to kick in and tell it to keep going. That's how you build it. You build strength mentally by doing things that are extremely hard and things that would make you quit. And every time you quit, you break a promise to yourself. Never quit. When it gets hard, you can slow down. You can change the approach, but don't quit, because when you quit, you break a promise to yourself that you say, I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. And that could become a habit. You telling yourself you're not good enough through your actions could become a bad habit that you're teaching yourself. The same as if you always overcome situations, you are creating a habit that you say, I can do it, and I am doing it. So you can create a bad habit by quitting and create a good habit by never quitting. And that's how you build mental strength, you know?
And I have to agree with you in terms of that. And I've seen within myself, I went to the gym a couple of times, but I had to stop because of the podcast. Definitely, I had interviews that I needed to do, most of them. And I've seen how the transformation was. But in terms of building mental strength, it was quite difficult by doing through the gym. But being able to tell myself that I can do it, tell myself, having that positive affirmations that it is possible. And there's something that I once heard where it says that when you feel tired, that's where the real work starts. And that's where the real start happens. And also, no pain, no gain. That's the thing. No pain, no gain. Because the more you suffer,